Hi everyone, this is Group 1's presentation on the business costs associated with cybersecurity threats and mitigations. In this presentation, we will review the team roles, the problem and the intent statements, research questions, literature review themes, data collection and analysis plan, results, conclusions, and further recommendations for the business. Here you can see the different roles each team member assumed during this research project, although all team members were involved with reviewing and completing the final research document. This research focused on the growing threat of cyber attacks for businesses as the Internet of Things continues to expand and more work is completed online. Cyber attacks can expose enterprises to economic costs, compromise the business reputation, and have legal consequences. The intent of this research is to identify whether the costs associated with cyber attacks outweigh the costs of implementing mitigation strategies to defend against cyber vulnerabilities. This research highlights two main research questions. How do the costs and benefits of implementing cybersecurity mitigation strategies compare for businesses? And what are the consistent themes represented in cyber resilience literature? The first theme our group identified was the cost-benefit analysis associated with cyber risk and mitigation strategies. Due to the nature of cyber attacks, it can be difficult for businesses to select the most economic approach to implement cyber resilience strategies. As businesses vary in size and complexity, risks can largely differ between organizations. As there is no direct return on investment, it is more difficult for businesses to justify the expense of implementing cyber attack mitigation strategies. To combat this challenge, businesses instead focus on losses that would otherwise be incurred if they were to fall victim to a cyber attack. Losses may include costs for recovery efforts, business and reputation implications, lost employment, and operational downtime that may occur after a cyber attack. Legal fines and penalties should also be included in loss calculations if the cyber attack highlights an organization's noncompliance. The second theme highlighted in the cybersecurity literature review was the complexity of cost-benefit methodologies utilized in the cybersecurity industry. The quantitative approach to determining the cost-benefit of implementing cyber resilience strategies includes determining the cost per cyber attack type. The annual loss expectancy, or ALE, is the loss expected in the absence of a cyber attack mitigation solution. Utilizing the ALE, businesses can evaluate potential losses against the cost to implement mitigation strategies. Similarly, the hermeneut approach further analyzes cyber risk by determining the likelihood of cyber threats based on the nature of the business. This allows for mitigation strategies to be right-sized for the business type and measure risk. The quantitative data utilized in this study includes the data from a small business with 200 employees, estimated asset values, single loss expectancy for cyber attacks, and annual loss expectancy for cyber attacks. The qualitative data utilized in this study was compiled through a literature review from several databases. From an initial screen of 30 articles from Google Scholar and EBSCOhost, 5 were selected as the primary resources of information for our project. This study used qualitative data that was no more than 10 years old. Here, Table 1 displays the small business's information given in the assignment scenario prompt. The small business employs 200 individuals, has 7,000 data records, and 2,000 customers.
Hello, this is Jeremy Hooper, and I'll be narrating the next set of slides for our team. Table 2 displays the asset values for the organization as well as the annual loss expectancy per cyber attack type. Cyber attack types include data breaches, malware infections, phishing emails, password breaches, ransomware, denial of service, and further operating system vulnerabilities. We can see from each threat how the given exposure rate helps us predict the financial loss of a single event, the expected number of occurrences of that event, and the resulting annual loss. This will help us decide where the best bang for the buck exists when we evaluate mitigation strategies. The results from our study were the following. First, industry standards and regulations regarding cybersecurity vary based on location and application. However, there are frameworks available that are internationally recognized, including standards published by the International Organization for Standardization, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the control objectives for information technologies. Implementing a standard cybersecurity framework along with building a top-down cybersecurity culture allows organizations to assess the associated cyber risk and implement effective countermeasures. Secondly, cost reduction is an essential aspect of cybersecurity. After businesses experience a cyber attack, several costs can be incurred, including legal fees and penalties, customer notifications, recovery and response efforts, and hardware replacement. This study found that the costs of implementing cybersecurity strategies are far less than the cost of a cyber attack, as we will illustrate on the next slide. Finally, the study also found that businesses are more likely to implement strategies which are effective but also have minimal impact to business operations. For example, network filtering can effectively reduce the number of phishing emails received by employees but can slow down network speed. Alternatively, companies may implement user awareness training as a mitigation strategy to combat phishing emails and adopt more secure, less onerous methods such as two-factor authentication versus overly complicated passwords. Table 3 summarizes common mitigation strategies, their annual cost, and the annual loss expectancy associated with cyber threats. By comparing the annual cost to the ALE, the most cost-effective mitigation strategies relative to potential losses are regularly back up critical data and ensuring the proper security updates and security patches are installed. These were followed closely by user awareness training and two-factor authentication. The conclusion of the study is that the financial and operational benefits of cyber threat mitigation strategies outweigh the implementation cost of those strategies for the identified cyber threats. Limitations to this study include having limited scholarly literature to review on the subject matter and that the data set that was utilized was for only one small business. It was identified that businesses must carefully balance operational effectiveness with the cost and implementation of mitigation strategies to protect against cyber threats. Recommendations. This study found that implementation of cyber threat mitigation strategies provided benefits that outweighed the cost of implementation and that combining several mitigation strategies are most effective and can minimize the operational impact to the business. It is recommended that businesses implement several types of cyber threat mitigation strategies based on industry best practices and their individualized business risks to avoid the high costs associated with cyber attacks. Future research should include data from more organizations as well as varying size companies to develop more holistic cost-benefit analysis. It is also recommended that cyber threats considered be expanded to include more cyber threat types. Thank you for listening to our team's discussion of our qualitative research on the cybersecurity and cost-benefit analysis covering mitigation strategies to thwart cyber attacks. If you have any follow-up questions for our group, please feel free to reach out to us. Our references follow this slide. Enjoy the rest of your day.